everyone. I'm waiting for Andre. He's gonna join me, and we are gonna do a live session today about and food. Um, the reason why I decided to do this live session today was because it's a very common issue. It was my own issue when I was when I moved here to US, and I started to feel very sick. I understood that a lot of it was emotional. So I started my own journey, um, discovering, understanding more about the emotions, about the nervous system, and the connection between the emotions and the body. And today we're going to talk about it. And if you stick here with us until the end of the live, we're going to do a small, like a short hypnosis and Reiki session for wellness. So I'm waiting for Andre to join us, and we will begin soon. And I think I'm gonna start talking briefly about myself, like what I do, how I help people, because um, I'm trying to connect with Andre, but for some reason it's loading and he didn't connect it yet. Let me just send a quick text for him. So how do I help people? Mainly women, right? So my background is in nutrition, but I decided to go more towards holistic nutrition and wellness because of my own history, right? I I discovered that I needed to go deeper to understand more about the connection between the emotions and my body because I used to have a lot of digestive issues, and I was already doing the perfect diet and exercising 5 times a week. And when I moved here, I'm from Brazil, originally from Brazil. I was like, what's happening? What's happening with my body? My hair, my gut, everything was falling apart. And I was like, it has to be something else than like different from, the basics that I'm not paying attention to, that is, happening inside and is causing all of those symptoms. And I was pretty lost for quite a while. Um, and that was like my path, the beginning of my healing journey. And that's how I help women. Hi, Andre.
Hi,
That's how
hi,
I help
Erica.
women to heal, to lose weight, by connecting both the physical, the nutrition, and the energetic and emotional work. Hi, it's
Hi.
so nice to have you here. Can you talk a little bit about yourself? Introduce
Yes, I
yourself?
can.
Yeah.
I was listening to you talking about yourself, talking about you being Brazilian and then moving to the US and facing the challenge of being in another place. I never left Brazil. I hope someday I can visit other countries.
Uh-huh.
And I've been in this journey of learning, teaching, and using hypnosis to help people, just like you learned how to help yourself and then to help others. So it all started with myself, with my learning issues. Then I started
Mm.
developing uh, strategies when the pandemic came and I started working online. So I used a lot of language, and I discovered that language is almost everything
Yeah.
because we can use it to help people change mindsets behaviors, and digesting more emotions. So I think it's the topic of today.
It is. And I'm so glad we made that happen because, I don't think we talk up enough
Yeah.
about that, right? And I think it's gonna be pretty interesting. I was just saying that if you stick to the end of the live, we're gonna have like a small hypnosis, a Reiki
Yeah.
slash Reiki session for wellness. So yeah, I think it's gonna be amazing, pretty good.
Me too.
So you want to start? Should I start?
Well, we are here to talk about digesting in both ways, as food, as emotions. So I think you should start because
Yeah.
uh, you're, I think you have more to say, and I'm going to just bring my place here when it's time. Okay?
Mm, okay. Sounds good. So yeah, I mean, everyone knows about digestion of food because it's mainly what we do. We we work, we eat, we sleep, and digestion. It's basic. It's super important for health in general, right? So it's not like, rocket science.
Yeah.
It's basic human needs. But when we talk about digestion, there is also the part like of digestion of emotions that we often don't think about it. We often don't do anything about it. Um, and actually, emotions, they can get stuck in your body if you're not really dealing with them properly, right? So
Hmm.
we have something called cellular memory, the memory of our cells. And emotions and trauma can get stuck in our cellular memory, and this can create this can be the beginning of an imbalance because we were not taught how to process emotions and trauma. And so most of us, we just shovel in, and we just don't deal with it, just leave it on the side, don't think about it. And that's not how the body really process um, emotions and trauma, right? So we need to do something about it. And so eventually these emotional blockages, they can turn into physical symptoms. It's what we call like psychosomatization. So we somatize those emotions, and then they can create disease and imbalance. um, so when we think about emotions, we often think about thoughts or like a mood, but they are so much more than that. In every unresolved emotion, they can create like a residue that will settle in your nervous system, in your cellular memory, in your organs, and with time, right, in your organs, and this can cause a mess. That happened to me, as I was saying. I was like, what else can I do? What am I not paying attention? Because as I said, I was already like eating pretty healthy, exercising, so I should be super healthy, and I was not. I was falling apart. And so I decided to go ahead and study and understand what tools can I use, because most physicians and doctors, they were like, oh, this might be emotional, but they wouldn't give me a tool or a technique, or wouldn't point me to a direction. So I was feeling so lost, and I tried therapy for a while. We're going to talk about it. Uh, it, it was good, but it didn't truly like worked for me in
Hmm.
terms of releasing the trauma and the emotions. Um, like when we think about emotions, we want to think about like how they affect our physical body, right?
Yeah.
How they affect our organs and cells and glands. So like it's pretty interesting because the liver usually like holds on to anger. The lungs usually store grief. The kidneys more related to fear. Stomach, it could be anxiety, it could be nervousness, or Sorry, lost my line of thought.
You were
So
talking
stomach,
about how your organs can keep
yeah,
the trauma inside.
yeah, right. So yeah, stomach can be nervousness and even anxiety. So when we don't process these emotions, they will stay trapped.
Yeah,
Trust me, they will.
yeah, they will.
So it's like, unfinished business, unfinished stories. Your body does keep a score of that, definitely. And so I want to talk a little bit about the vagus nerve, the gut, and the emotions. Um, our gut, it's so much more than just the digestive system, right? It's our second
Yeah,
brain. I'm sure you heard about that.
yeah,
Um, and the interesting part of this is that the gut has its own nervous system. So
yeah,
the gut is also processing all of the emotions and the traumas um, internally in the cells, in its own nervous system. It produces neurotransmitters like serotonin and other neurotransmitters that are responsible for how we feel, right? They are connected to our emotional world.
yeah.
So it's so important when we talk about digestion of emotions, talking about gut health as well. So this is where the vagus nerves comes in, vagus nerve, not nerves,
Mhm.
comes in. And I like to think that it's like a highway between our gut and our brain. So when the gut is inflamed, like if you have dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of the microbiome of the organisms that you have living there, or anything that could be happening in your gut, this will affect your emotional state as well, how you feel, because of that highway, that free highway of communication between the gut and the brain. um, so when we think about like any kind of emotional state, like anxiety, or it could be anything like emotionally, um, your gut might be asking for help. So many people are suffering with anxiety and other types of emotional states, and they are usually like not doing anything about gut health, right? And it's so important to
Quite the opposite,
first.
Erica,
I'm
because
sorry.
people, it's quite the opposite, because
Yeah.
sometimes people ingest even more things, usually bad
Yeah.
things, to satisfy some hunger that's not even a physical need. It's basically your way to escape the pain or the trauma.
Yes, yes, correct. So it's like a cycle, right? If you're
Yeah.
anxious and then you eat like sugar and all like the
Hmm.
junk food and crap.
Coffee, too
Yes.
much.
And then yeah, and then you don't get better, right? Instead of taking care of like one of the most important parts of our body organs. Um, so yeah, it might be your gut asking for help. It might be like the presence of parasites, like dysbiosis, fungus, overgrowth. A lot of things might be happening there. So definitely, if you feel like that, if you're constantly in this low vibrational state, anxiety, nervousness, anger, you should take a look at your digestive health, at your gut, because you know possibly this was like the physical root cause of where you at right now, emotional and your like emotional state, right? So anyways, um and then like when we think about the cellular memory and the silent imbalances, um it's like everything you feel but don't express stays somewhere, right? We talk a little bit about that. And as I said, the cellular memory holds to everything, every emotion, every memory, everything that you ever happened gets stored in your subconscious, in your nervous system, in your cells. And that's how imbalances start, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's super, super important to do like both, take care of your physical health, but release those traumas and emotions. And this can like the imbalances in your cells, they can create chronic fatigue, hormonal imbalances, autoimmune issues, right? Without you even realizing, like having a clue, thinking that it was something that you ate or, something physical, not really emotional, right?
Yeah.
Although like science now points to like autoimmune disease and like psychosomatization, but it's kind of recent. Anyways, so if you have anything like that, chronic fatigue or hormonal imbalances, anything that it's not a common process of the body. Like if you're going through menopause, it's a common process,
Yeah.
right? Every woman is gonna go through that. But
Mhm.
um when it's something that is happening, like you have lots of symptoms or it happened, it wasn't supposed to happen, then you should take a look at that and see what else you might be missing, right?
Mhm.
So this is like for me, emotional regulation of the nervous system is not optional. It's like for me, I definitely think it's essential for healing. Um, and I want to briefly talk about talking therapy, like traditional type of therapy.
Psychotherapy. Mhm.
Yeah, psychotherapy, and like when we talk about that in like nervous system reset or hypnosis or any of the tools that work, the subconscious, the emotional side.
Mhm.
So psychotherapy is really, really powerful, right? I'm not talking bad about it because
Mhm.
I myself, I have a therapist.
Me
I
too.
do think it's important to talk about, to get it out of your chest. And, but the thing about therapy that most people don't realize, because when I talk with women here, they're like, oh yeah, I take care of my emotional health, I do therapy, right?
Mhm.
Great. It's a start, but usually the psychotherapy works more with the conscious mind, right?
Mhm.
We are talking about things that we have in our conscious mind. We are not
Mhm.
really assessing, like going deep,
Yeah, more
unless you're
logical.
using, yeah, unless you're using like hypnosis combined with hypnosis or
Mhm.
anything like that,
Yeah.
right? So, and then because of that, it can take years for a person to heal
Yeah.
a trauma, or decades, because we are not going deep. We are not addressing the subconscious. Um, and we are 95% subconscious or unconscious, meaning that everything we do, it's 95%, well, not 95% of the time, it's coming from the subconscious, not the
Yeah.
conscious
It's
mind,
automatic.
right? Yeah, so it's so powerful when you have tools that go to that part of you that is 95% of who you are instead of the 5%. So it's amazing. I do it, but just don't just stay there. Just try to seek techniques and tools that will help you with that, with
Yeah.
going deeper with the release of the nervous system. So what else? Let me think. Um, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah. I think it's about how you pay attention to things. Because when you are doing psychotherapy, it takes years for you to get the tools you need. And you start with small steps. Sometimes you have to not be more aggressive, not that, but to keep your mind straight. You have to go uh, sharper to where the trauma is or the ideas are. And when we are too busy taking care of our daily lives, we don't pay attention to what goes behind our conscious mind. Like you said, most of the time we live in an automatic shift between unconscious, subconscious, and our present lives. But when you are in therapy, how long would it take for you to start paying attention to what's behind your regular eyes? So when you take uh, like hypnosis or neurolinguistics or other sorts of therapies that use a more expanded way to see things,
Yeah.
perhaps you can not take a shortcut but you can use your attention in a better way to
Yeah,
see what actually is bothering you, you know? It's being the barrier you have to face to get better. But while you don't have time or patience to do that, or even the courage, because it takes courage for you
it
to
takes.
face those that fear of
Yeah,
finding yourself, because it isn't always pretty, right, Erica? We
it
have
is
uh,
not.
so once you open the door, how can you deal with that? So you have to know that is going to take a lot of work, but life changes once
Mm,
you get in touch with that.
yeah.
And it's all, for me, in my opinion, as a therapist and a person that uses hypnosis most of the time to do therapy, it's all about attention, how you focus,
Yeah.
how you see things. Because uh, once you start using better your attention, you know that that pain is not something you wait. It's your mind telling you to slow down.
Hmm.
It's your body responding to something that's happening where you can't see.
Yeah.
So let's try to put our flashlight there to bring light to what's happening behind our eyes, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, like, I was thinking about it while while we were saying that, and I think, like, for most people, they start with the basics. There is like nutrition and
Mhm.
exercising
That's
to feel
important.
better,
Hmm.
which is the basic
Hmm.
for everything in life. To feel better, to look better, but then it comes a time when, like, it's time for that next step. Right?
Hmm.
People start to question some things and start to pay more attention to themselves, right? And then it comes a time when maybe they decide to do therapy or to do something else. They create awareness about what they need, and it's pretty important if you're still, like, taking care of your physical body, and if you still think that's the best that you can do right now, that's awesome. You're
Yeah,
still doing something about it, right?
yeah,
But I like that idea of us creating awareness about what else you can do to feel better physically, emotionally, energetically, right? And, like, I love hypnosis.
hmm,
I've done it myself a few times, and it really helps. There are many techniques you can use, as you said, neurolinguistics programming. That's also working with the you can use Reiki, that is like a different type of approach. There are vibrational remedies. There are a lot of different techniques, tapping, EFT, a lot of
hmm,
different things that you can do, and you have to find one that resonates with you better, right?
yeah,
But I think it's definitely, if you're looking for that next step, hypnosis is definitely one thing to consider,
yeah. It's a good
right?
tool.
And also, like, just going back a little bit about, like, the good before we start talking about hypnosis.
Uh-huh.
As I said, it's important to understand what's happening in your gut. Like, what symptoms do you have?
Hmm.
How do you pay attention? You can maybe try to do a tongue analysis. I teach that here, in my Instagram. You can see some content about
Hmm.
that, like your tongue being a map of your gut, of your digestive system, and understanding what everything means, cracks and coding, and maybe you have inflammation, maybe you have imbalance in your stomach, and this is reflecting, in, like, how you feel emotionally. Supporting your microbiome, not just, like, exercising is good for health in general, for your gut health, but not just doing that, finding ways to support your gut, to reset your gut, to release inflammation, and support digestion, that is not, like, generalized, because I love social media. It's part of my work.
Hmm.
But the problem is we have a lot of information, and everyone's saying something different,
Mhm.
right? So it's not it's very common to have people coming to me using like a ton of supplements, not even knowing what they do, right? Just because they heard someone say it's good, so they use it. Oh, it's a
Yeah,
doctor,
it's
it's a
like a trend.
nutritionist.
Mhm.
Hmm?
It's a trend, actually.
It's a trend. Yes. So, and it's not because it's a supplement that cannot cause, cannot give you side effects,
Of
cannot make
course.
things worse. It actually can,
Yeah.
and that's pretty common actually. So, making sure that you're supporting your individuality and not like copying someone else, right? Just because you heard it's good. Make your own research. There are a lot of things. Google is free. You can Google it. You can
Hmm.
read scientific studies, researches, and find what's best for you. But do take a look at your gut, definitely. Um, what else? Yeah,
Well,
I think we cover like you
the
know
gut part.
the good part, and the other day I was seeing a video of, I don't know who posted, a bug with a
Mhm.
parasite, and the bug was dead. I don't know if you saw that. He was dead, and he was walking, completely dead, and the parasite was controlling the bug like a
Wow.
zombie. You know. So a lot is being said about parasites, and I think if you didn't do a parasite cleanse yet in your lifetime, or if it's not recent, it has more than 6 months, it's definitely important to take a look at that um, because we know that highway, that gut and brain connection, we know that parasites and other types of bugs, bacteria, viruses, fungus, then they can influence a lot on your emotions and your mood and your physical health,
Of
right? So it's
course.
important also to understand if you have it, if you have symptoms, and not just treat for parasites, but understand, right? What are the symptoms? How do I feel? You know, and taking a look at that is also pretty important because sometimes it's simple, like you do a parasite cleanse and you're gonna feel so much better. The anxiety levels will drop, and so things like that we usually don't really pay much attention to it,
Yeah. Like I
right?
said,
um
attention is very important. So I once had a student before I started working with general cases in hypnosis. I took care of some students because I am a specialist in education.
you
So
are?
I
I
was,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Cool.
I have a major in language and
Wow.
I in English and Portuguese, and then I got post graduation in neuroscience and learning. So I have a degree in education, and I don't know if you have this in the US, but it's a mix of psychology and pedagogy. So
I
uh,
don't know how
and
it's called. Yeah.
yeah, me too.
Um,
But the important part is that some people can't see the difference between when the pain begins in the brain or in the gut. So if you don't know what's happening in your gut, perhaps your brain can mistake it with anxiety or depression, or even thinking you are lazy because you are too tired.
yeah.
And it's not normal for a teenager to be so tired. So sometimes paying attention to your gut and keeping it healthy, you can
Mm,
save some anxiety attacks, some depression phases that you might face, especially when you are younger.
yeah. There are a lot of studies connecting depression and things like that with your microbiome, with the types of bacteria that you have in your gut. So, that the video of the parasite, I think it like illustrates a lot of like about the importance of the gut and how like the microbes that we have there, they have such a huge power on how we feel
Yeah.
inside.
And that's
So
why it's a second brain, and sometimes it works sideways with our first brain.
Yeah.
because it's too much. It's just
Yeah.
too much. So you have to take care of both of our brains, the gut
Yes,
brain and our normal, regular brain. And that's
definitely.
where we
Definitely.
come in, right, Erika?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Um, so do you want to talk a little bit about
Of course.
hypnosis? Because when I talk to people like, oh, hypnosis this, hypnosis that, they're like, what? No, this is like mind control or something. I'm
Yeah, you can.
like, no,
I see that a lot.
hypnosis. Yeah, yeah.
How can making me forget my name or eating an onion tasting like an apple can
Yeah,
help?
a lot of misconception.
Yeah, a lot. But sometimes this misconception can be good because sometimes people get surprised when they come to a session
Hmm.
because it looks like a meditation. Sometimes it
Yeah,
looks like a regular meditation, but there's a little twist in there that we use the language
the
that we
language.
create that state to build another state that's towards inside of you, not outside of you, like meditation. And
Hmm.
the line between the entertainment part of hypnosis and the therapeutic part of hypnosis is very thin because we use the same mind states. And before we started our conversation here, we talked about a little bit about the stage hypnosis, like why
Yeah.
people get that way. How can I uh, just go out of my regular state of mind and start doing things that I don't know how happens? That's because people are suggestible. And most
Hmm.
of the time, when you are going to a show like that, you open a door for that kind of stuff to happen. So you kind of predispose yourself to get in that place. Of course, it
Right.
depends on how suggestible you
Yeah.
are. But uh, and sometimes people they are stating that they can't be that suggestible. But once they start to get in the in trance, they just let go in a way that they never expected, and that's very interesting because that's how our brain works. It's fantasy or not. Our brain can't tell the difference. So uh,
Right. Yes.
our
That's
our
important.
our job here in therapy is just to guide it. So you use that fantasy kind of thought to go to memories, to go to places of trauma, to get resources and build tools for them to help themselves using
Right.
that kind of, especially me, I use a lot of storytelling in sessions.
Hmm.
So it's a lighter way to get to the place with less trauma. So we reach trauma with less trauma.
Yeah, I
So
think also like some people have like this fear of hypnosis or any kind of tool that
mhm,
will revive the trauma,
mhm.
you know. And it's not like that, right? As you said,
No,
it's
it
a
can be
different way
like
to approach
that.
it. It can
You
be. Yeah.
it can be because it's about language, it's about care. If you do both things together, you are in a good way of dealing with trauma. But if you get someone that is not that capable, is not prepared to reach trauma in a soft, in a safe way, it's like you are opening a door full of bugs. So you get what you open. So it's better if you
Yeah.
pick the best therapist you can.
Right. Yes, that's important.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're gonna feel worse, probably,
yeah,
right? Because you
yeah.
had the trigger,
And
and yeah,
triggers are something very important because everything can be a trigger. What's
everything.
a trigger for you probably won't be a trigger for me. So it's a minefield. If you don't
Mhm.
know what you are doing,
Yes,
open
definitely.
your mind to that. And
Yes.
the safest way of doing that is building trust, getting to know the person first, talking like in regular therapy, so you
Mm-hmm.
can know where you are going. And I always start, Erica, with
Mm-hmm.
a very simple hypnosis session to see how
Yes.
people react in trance, so
Mm-hmm.
people can feel what's like to be in trance, and they
Yes.
decide if they are open to that or not, because it's kind
Right.
of lowering your guard, you know. You
Yes.
are opening space for another person to enter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
you gotta be safe for that.
Yes, it's really important to build that relationship first and feeling safe
Yeah,
and sharing.
yeah,
Because you know you're gonna share things that you don't share with
yeah.
everyone.
But
So yeah.
it's not like that. Like you are, once you enter trance, you're going to just say whatever the person asks. You're going to open your life. It's not like that, because when you are in trance, in under hypnosis, you are most of the time much more conscious that you are in regular
It's
basis, you know.
like everything becomes clear, right? You can because
Yeah,
you can access so many parts of your mind
yeah,
that you that usually
e-
don't.
exactly that, because you are seeing without interruption.
Yeah.
You don't have to share your attention to other things, and that's how hypnosis happens. You use language to build a state where your attention forgets what's around you and focuses on one thing, and that thing is the most important in that moment, and that's
Mm.
how it happens, and that's why people go so deep sometimes. uh, People takes over an hour to get out of trance and be fully present, aware, because they let go so deep, and
Yes.
it's
Sometimes
very interesting.
they do sleep as well, right? I have
Yeah,
a
it
hypnosis
happens.
recording in one of my programs, and people are like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be hypnotized. How's that gonna work?" And it's like such a light type of hypnosis.
Hmm.
Um, and usually people sleep, right? And they're like, "Oh, I fell asleep. Is that a problem?" No, it's okay because your subconscious is listening and absorbing all the information, the good suggestions, right? The things that you need to heal your emotions. But talk about like people sleeping during hypnosis.
Yeah, and most of the times when you get in a deeper sleep, your hearing is shut down. So you just stay in a survival mode. So you won't be suggested, uh, not that you know of,
Mm-hmm.
to do things that you don't want to do. So
Mm-hmm.
you have a very smart thing
Is
happening there.
yeah.
Your brain is your most important safe house, because it's always on.
But what is if it's like a nap, it's not like a deep sleep. What do you think?
You can
Because what
keep
I learned
your.
is yeah.
Mhm.
No, what I learned is that
It's
your
different.
brain absorbs, you're listening to the information. You're kind of like aware if it's not a deep
You're
state
half
sleep.
aware.
Uh-huh.
It's like you are uh, when you are in deep sleep, your brain starts that REM phase, where it's just forgetting what's outside and focusing inside.
Yeah.
So memories get cleaned up. They go to the deeper part of your brain, like they become stronger memories. So your attention is not outside anymore,
Mm-hmm.
unless there's a huge noise
Noise.
or something.
Yeah.
But when you are in that light state of sleep, it's the same kind of wave of hypnosis.
Yeah.
You know, you keep alpha, delta, you are between theta
Mm-hmm.
phases. So when you are in that stage between
Mm-hmm.
phases, you are still listening, but
Yeah.
it's not like you are smart enough at that moment to choose. So you just listen, and your brain, of course, will absorb it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. That's what I say to my clients. I usually say, no, it's okay. As long as like if you fell asleep and you woke up like the other day, then it's like a deep sleep. But if it was
Mhm.
like a nap, it's okay because you heard what you needed for that time.
Yeah.
Um, and so what I think like what kind of problems, issues, health concerns that you usually approach with hypnosis?
Well, everything that's related to stress or anxiety, we
Mm-hmm.
can work with hypnosis. Because, of course, you have compulsions for eating, or you have an addiction for some kind of food or even other substances. And that comes with two different origins or sources. One of them is how you feel about it in your brain, how that's socially or emotionally makes you feel, you know, because that's the response you're going to get very quick when you are eating in a compulsion or smoking or drinking or using drugs or any other thing that gives you pleasure.
Yeah.
So that pleasure is not about eating, it's about the sensation,
Yeah.
the emotional sensation. But also, you have inside of you your whole digestive system that's going to get that you're putting inside of you. And that's how you're going to respond to that, being sick or not, being more tired or not, you know. So with hypnosis, we can get that emotional part and take off that situation and see why that's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and give the person tools to make it less powerful, you know, because sometimes you feel important, you don't have the strength to fight it. So you know where it starts, you know where it goes, you know what's doing to you, what it does to you. So when you learn that, your brain naturally starts to fight it
Yeah.
in a deeper way. So
Yeah.
hypnosis helps you to split that uh, addiction or that compulsion. So once you don't have the gain that your brain needs, like a regular habit, you know, the cycle of habit is about your gain. So when you understand that that gain is not actually gaining anything,
Yeah.
that clicks your brain to stop. Takes some time, of course,
Yeah.
to know it, to understand it, and to create the resources to break that habit. But it's possible. Hypnosis helps because it helps you to focus on that,
Right.
to use your
Yes.
attention to work straight on what's the problem, you know, Erica.
Yes. Yes. Makes sense. And there's a story. I'm just gonna sum things up, but someone told me, like, I think the father of one of my friends, he had a drinking problem.
Mm-hmm.
So he used to come home like from work, open a beer and sit down and say, without drinking the beer, just holding the can,
Mm-hmm.
now I can relax. And he would relax like immediately. So it was, and then he associated the relaxation with the alcohol because it can, like, on like short term, can relax you a little bit, but
Yeah.
before even drinking it. So the trigger was, sitting down with
The
the beer
movement.
on the
Mm-hmm.
hand, the movement, opening up the can and breathing, right? Now everything will be fine. And when we go in that trigger and we dissociate that from, whatever he thinks he would feel,
Mm-hmm.
um, this makes like the whole process seem different for his brain, for his mind, right? Because we are going to the root of the problem and we are changing how the brain, the mind
Yeah.
interprets this whole process. That's what hypnosis and NLP and other tools
Mm-hmm.
actually do, right? One of
Yeah.
the things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
you can replace that sensation with other things,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
make it smaller, like taking off your shoe, or just opening the door, or just seeing your wife or your husband or your kids or your dog. You change that. You use that same sensation of gaining, of relaxation, of happiness, and you associate it with other things,
mm-hmm.
better
Yes,
things. So
yeah,
that's the kind of magic that hypnosis and another other
yeah.
therapies like neurolinguistics, for example,
Mm-hmm.
work. changing the mindset, changing the perspective.
Right.
That's the better word.
Yeah.
You change the perspective about that.
Yeah, there is something called anchoring
Yeah.
that you do it in
In
hypnosis and
hypnosis, yeah.
NLP. That is all about that, right? You're in this emotional state, like super hype, super hyper, and then you're like you touch a part of your body and you have the anchor right there. So the
Yeah.
anchor could be like a negative anchor, like if you open like a beer can and sit
Yeah.
down and
The
feel
taste of the
relaxed.
beer or the brain receiving alcohol.
Yes, and the anchor could be something positive, like a touch, or like something
Yeah.
more like touching your earrings or something like that. The brain is it's crazy, but also it's possible for you, as you said, to change so many things, so many bad habits that will definitely impact your health so much.
Hmm.
So you want to go ahead and let's start the session, the small session.
Of course. Let's do it.
Yeah, so just before I want to leave you guys like with like the relaxation after hypnosis. We will not talk a lot after that just because we want to keep that peaceful state. But I want to go ahead and just recap briefly what we talked about here. So emotional state, gut health, making sure you rebalance your gut, making sure you have something to address cellular memory, trapped emotions, taking care of your physical health, but also having tools to go deeper like hypnosis, NLP, and other things that will help you with feeling healthy overall, right? And then today, what we thought about, like that would be nice for you guys to experience was a hypnosis session with a Reiki sending off energy. Because energy, when we think about energy, we want to think about touch and being in the same room, but energy has no barriers or nothing like that. You can receive my energy being on the other side of the world. It's all about intention and where you're sending the energy. So wherever you are in this world, you're going to receive it. So I hope you enjoy this small session. And if you're curious about my work or Andre's work, just DM us. And it will be a pleasure to talk to
Yeah.
you.
I'm
Right?
just going to close the door. Give me just a second, okay?
Go ahead. So while he's closing the door, if you've never heard about Reiki, so Reiki is very popular, but it's universal energy. It's contacting that universal energy of abundance, of healing that is available for us, and directing this energy for a person, for a pet, for a
I am back.
place. And Reiki works on multiple levels as well. It works on the emotional, the energetic, the physical body as well. So I think it's going to be a great addition for you guys to experience today.
Okay. So for my part, I just need you to relax. If you can close your eyes, just close. If not, just look to a spot where you don't have too much things distracting you and just listen to my voice now. So if you can close your eyes, please, let's start. Now, with your eyes closed or just looking at that other spot, pay attention to what comes into your mind right now. Pay attention and remember where you are. Pay attention and start listening to not only my voice, but the sounds around you. Just focus your attention like you can listen to everything that's happening on your right. Just focus on your right. What's there? Listen to what's there. If you can, create an image for that. Remember what's on your right side in the room you are. Just think about it. Pay attention to that. Imagine that you have a flashlight in your hand and you just point it to your right. Now, do the same to your left. Just move your attention and listen to what's happening on your left. And realize how you can let go a little bit more, relax a little bit more. Now, point your flashlight of attention to the floor, to the ground, and remember where you are standing right now, where your feet are. Remember what the color of your clothes are. Remember, and just let the air come in slowly, easily, effortlessly. Now, pay attention to what's behind you. Remember what's behind you. Is that a door, a wall, your chair? What's there? Spend a minute to just breathe in and out and remember what's there. Listen to what's inside of you. Pay attention to your breathing, how the air comes in, how it flows out of you. And I'm going to ask you to choose one of your hands and place in your stomach and feel the touch of your hand in your stomach. Now, use that light of attention in your hand to think about what's going on inside of you and use your mind to think about what you can let go right now. What would make you feel better right now? No matter what happened today, what will happen tomorrow, later today, just think about right now where your hand is touching. Think about what you need right now to let go, to help your brain and your gut to work together. What what health means to you? Just let your mind bring the best version of you right now. And notice how this just few minutes that we are talking, you paying attention to my words, feeling the energy Erica is sending you now, how your hand feels your gut, how your breathing just flows, how working your attention so far made you feel, how relaxed you might feel right now. That's one of your superpowers, using your attention to feel good. Now I'm going to make one moment of silence. I want you to just feel the air entering your body and leaving your body. As it enters, think of positive things, good things, and as it goes out, digest it. Let the bad things, the stressful things just go for a moment. Just breathe. Feel the touch of your hand in your stomach. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. Feel the calmness of my voice. Feel the energy that we are exchanging right now. Now you can come back and start to use your attention to remember what's happening around you and see how you can shift from this relaxed state to a, again, present state. Remember where you are sitting. Remember where you are putting your feet on. Remember the room you are in. If you want to open your eyes now, just do it. Rest your hand, rest your mind, rest your breath, and see how you can see everything around you brighter. Pay attention to the sounds, how you can listen to it much better than before. Just do it. You see, that's a superpower you have, using your attention. And that's hypnosis. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andre. Thank you so much, everyone. We hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye bye.